Today we are demonstrating manual data entry into the eFlite online weight and balance software for large commercial aircraft, and the software is set up with standard weights in passenger zones versus individual passenger seats. Notice I mentioned manual data entry, and that is because we also provide a DCS interface that automatically populates your eFlite form with data from a departure control system. Be sure to contact eFlite via email if interested in more information about our DCS interface. Keep in mind, today's demo uses a McDonnell Douglas MD-82, but the functionality is the same whether you are operating ATR, Boeing, British Aerospace, Embraer, any other type of aircraft. Functionality is the same for cargo aircraft as well, but instead of passenger zones, we set up your software with pallet stations. On the eFlite form, you'll see there's 5 panels. There's the flight details panel across the top. There's your load details panel in the center. The load summary on the left center. Your CG envelope panel on the right, and then the signature panel across the bottom. Data entry cells on the various panels have a yellow background color, and all the other cells are for informational purposes only. Most users start by entering flight details and select the appropriate cockpit and cabin crew configuration from the AC config drop-down menu. That's the aircraft configuration drop-down menu. You'll see it up here in the top right corner. It's when the form loads, this particular aircraft is set up for 2 cockpit crew, 3 cabin crew, but you can just select whatever is applicable for today's flight. Say 2 cockpit, 5 cabin crew, and then the software will automatically update your operating weight values according to that particular crew configuration. You then proceed with entering a flight number, excuse me, the departure airport, destination airport, name, abbreviation of the captain, first officer, and there's also a data entry cell for comments. Keep in mind the labels on most data entry cells can be edited. For example, you can rename comments to flight attendants, and the software can also display additional data entry cells, such as one for entering the name of a flight engineer. You're going to notice on the demo that this is set up just to minimize time for us today, but I've already entered in the flight number, the origin, destination, and so on, so that just saves us a little bit of time. Anyway, once the flight details are entered in, then you can proceed to the load details panel to enter fuel on board values into each available fuel tank. The MD-82 in the demo only has main and center fuel tanks, so we enter 18,532 pounds into the main tank, and the center tank is empty for this demo flight, so we leave it at 0. The excuse me, the fuel sliders can also be used to enter fuel, and as you can see, you just grab the slider, you can move it back and forth, and the easiest way to top off a tank is just to grab the slider and pull it all the way to the far right. You can do the same thing here for the center tank. You can just pull it all the way over, but like I said, in this particular flight the center tank is empty, so we're going to leave that at 0. You can now enter a total fuel burned en route per tank into the applicable trip fuel data entry cell. Here again, there's main and center tanks. The center tank isn't used for this particular flight, so we've entered 6,500 pounds into the main tank trip fuel data entry cell. And then we've gone ahead and entered 500 pounds into startup, run up taxi fuel here in the load. You'll see that data entry cell in the load summary. The next step is to enter in the number of passenger types by selecting a passenger zone with your mouse, right-clicking, and then click on the payload items option for a list of passenger types. The demo is set up with male, female, child, and infant payload items, but you can rename and create additional types. I mean, they're user defined. This is just what this particular customer requested. Here again in the demo, just to save a little bit of time, we've already entered in passengers for 3 of the 4 zones, but in OB we still need to enter in those, so we'll enter in, let's say, 16 male passengers, 9 female, 2 child, and an infant for total passengers in that particular cabin, and then click on OK for the software to total the weights and return to the main form. Now you proceed with entering data into the cargo holds by selecting a lower hold, right-clicking the mouse, and then click on the payload items option. Cargo holds are typically set up with baggage standard, baggage heavy type of items that use standard weights, and also non-standard items with weights that vary per flight, such as a flyaway kit, miscellaneous cargo, and mail. Here again for the demo, we already entered items into compartments 1, 2, and 3, so we're only selecting compartment 4, and we will open that up and enter in, let's say, 76 standard baggage, 18 heavy baggage items. The flyaway kit is in a different compartment, so we won't add that here. There's 3,200 pounds of cargo in this particular compartment, and there is 200 pounds of mail. So then you double check your numbers, make sure they're right for that compartment, click on OK to total the weights, and return to the main form. You'll notice as you're entering data into the different cells, whether it's fuel data, trip fuel data, fuel on board data, passenger baggage items, or whatever, you'll notice that on the load summary here on the left, and then the CG envelope on the right, that those takeoff, landing, and zero fuel weight and CG values are going to start incrementing and adjusting according to how you're loading the particular aircraft. You'll notice there are 3 reference points on the CG envelope. There's a green colored T, a blue colored L for landing, the T is for takeoff, the L is for landing, and a orange colored Z for zero fuel. The 3 colored reference points on the CG envelope correspond to the same colors on the load summary panel. The load summary panel will also display bold red warning indicators if the aircraft is overweight or outside of CG limitations. And I can demonstrate that real quick here just by clearing out this particular compartment. Alright, clear out this compartment as well, and then you'll see the fault. As you can see, the aircraft, according to the CG envelope reference points, takeoff, landing, and zero fuel are all outside of the aft limits. And then of course on the load summary you're going to see your aft CG alerts for both zero fuel, takeoff, and aft CG. We can fix that real quick here just by loading these 16 passengers back in, and we're right back where we left off. Once the aircraft's loaded with passengers, baggage, and fuel, you're ready to proceed to the signature panel, and you would select prepared by our captain's signature. Keep in mind these are editable labels, but it can be anything you want, but this particular customer has them set up as prepared by and captain's signature. It could be whatever you'd want to put in there, but anyway, you click on autograph or keyboard depending if you want to manually enter in a name or if you want to sign the name with, say, your finger or a pen stylus. For the prepared by, let's just enter in a couple of initials. And then for captain's signature, we'll just put in an abbreviation. That's not a very good writing on using the mouse to write the signature. Stylus pen works a lot better. And keep in mind that the signature doesn't have to be signed on this particular form. The form could be printed and then it would just print blank for the signature, both either the prepared by and the captain's signature, and then it could actually be signed with a pen or pencil or whatever in the cockpit itself. So it doesn't have to be signed electronically. It can be printed and then signed by the crew members in the aircraft itself. The eFlite Online web service times out after 30 minutes of inactivity, so be sure to save your data often by clicking on the Save button. You'll see various buttons across the lower right corner here, but you would click on the Save button about every 30 minutes or so, just to make sure, 20-30 minutes or so, to make sure you don't lose any data that you've already entered. You must enter a file name the first time you save, and names typically consist of a flight number, departure date, and departure airport. So we can click on Save As. It's popping up the file that I've previously saved it as for this particular demo. So you're going to see the flight number 9J0355 departing on the 31st of October from LOS. Anyway, if that's the name, you can edit that name if you like, or you can just click on Save and then it'll save that again. Pop up the message, you're good to go. Clicking on the Save button thereafter saves all changes to the existing file, and clicking on the Save As button will prompt you to enter in a new file name. Flight log files are saved to the eFlite server for a maximum of 90 days and then automatically deleted from the server. To open a flight log file, for example, you might have created a flight log file earlier in the day, an hour or two prior to a flight, just to get a bulk of that information set up so you could create that file, save it to the server, and then come back an hour or two or the next day and then open that file and then make any last minute changes. So anyway, to open the file, you would click on the Files button and then Flight Logs, and then it'll provide a list of available files. And here you're going to see one that was created yesterday and the one I just created moments ago. It's using the same file name, but the different date, October 31st versus November 1st. And then of course you can click on View to reload that file, or you might want to click on Delete just to remove it from that flight log file. It might be, for example, a file that there might be multiple for the same flight, and you want to get rid of all of them except the one that's the final file for that flight. And you can just delete it like that. When clicking on the Files button, you will also notice a Miscellaneous Documents button. And that button displays PDF files uploaded to your account for fast online reference purposes. For example, you can upload aircraft performance charts or loading instructions for crew members to review prior to each departure. And there aren't any files saved in this particular account. But if they had been uploaded, you would see a list of the files there. And you could just select on the file, click on View, and it'll load that PDF file. To exit, you would just click on Close. Print and email buttons create a load sheet that complies with paper-based and electronic record-keeping requirements. The email feature can also attach a PDF file of the load sheet, and you can print a PDF file of the load sheet using free third-party software such as Qt PDF Writer. Print and emailed load sheets are designed to meet all Civil Aviation Authority requirements, so be sure to contact eFlite with any special requests from your Civil Aviation Authority. Keep in mind, the labels of most data entry cells on the flight details panel are editable via your eFlite desktop software. eFlite desktop software also allows users to add or remove data entry cells on the flight details panel, to edit empty weight and operating weight values, edit the default statement on the signature panel, and the ability to add crew member instructions. You can also enable a last minute changes table even though it is typically faster or more accurate to readjust fuel, passengers, baggage, and print a new load sheet. eFlite desktop updates to your aircraft module are then uploaded to the eFlite server for immediate access by eFlite Online users. eFlite desktop software provides many additional editing features, so we encourage those responsible for maintaining eFlite software in your flight operations department to also watch our video for editing user preferences and aircraft modules. Thank you for viewing an eFlite Online demo, and be sure to contact us with any questions.